You absolutely did. What's up, Magnus? How do we? Bingo. How you doing? How's your day? We are drawing. I think I'm gonna draw Timothy Chalamet today. Hey, Poochie. You're on screen. Isn't that sick? I have yet to figure out how to make it transparent, but I mean, I definitely could if I paid for one of those like Stream Elements or Streamlabs things, but love from the West, thank you. My day's been okay. Still drawing. Rough patch. Rough patch of not being fine with anything? Like drawing wise, or just like your day, like you don't feel like you're fine with anything? Also, Poochie, how'd you find me? Okay, so I'll try and get some sort of teaching out of here. Sewing? Oh, sick. I'm glad. That's fun. Yeah, drawing has just been skills and creativity are not cooperating. Dude, I feel that. I need to crop my dress shirt, which I did because of your vids. Oh, sick. Thanks, Poochie. Um, I was even thinking about recently doing a like a sewing stream as well. So I feel like that'd be really fun. But the next my next project that I want to do is going to be turning a dress shirt into a skirt, I think. Don't tell anyone though. It's a secret. Okay. So basically what I'm doing here, basically I had such a blast of creativity like 3 weeks, but I think I'm burnt out. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, honestly, a break anytime is a fantastic idea. I don't know if you heard that, but part of like part of being creative is taking a break. Also, going outside, like taking walks and just like relaxing and seeing nature always gets things going. Same with reading, actually. You'd be surprised at how often reading a book can like get your brain sort of out of the funk that it's in. Um, so try that. Try ripping one of those. Okay, so to start, as you can see, I'm drawing Timothy Chalamet today because does a VR headset work for that? I mean, it definitely could. It might be good to just see a real tree, but I think you could rock with a VR headset. Um, Basically, following that A24 um, that Zoom interview that Timothy did for the Marty Supreme movie. But yeah, I know I need a break. Yeah, true. Um, what had happened with that video is it blew up, obviously. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I was reading a message. Um, and so perfect opportunity to draw Timmy and then make a quick TikTok over it. So what we're going to do is I laid out some of these initial lines first, but as you can see, sort of the usual setup that we've always used or always I've always tried to teach is this first main circle. You basically just draw a circle however big you want it. And that sort of sets the tone for what your drawing is going to be, the size of your drawing and all of those things. Then, from that circle, you draw a smaller auxiliary secondary circle right underneath it that has like a little bit of an overlap. And the reason you do that is it gives you a little bit more structure on where to put the jawline. It gives you a little bit more structure on where the nose is going to go. Usually when you have this sort of two-circle method, you get this nice little overlap, and you pretty much know that the nose is going to end up in here. Depending on who you're drawing or what this character looks like, the nose will be higher or lower, obviously, but Willy Wonka, hee hee hee. Oh, what's up, Kelpie? Like, you at least have all of these little framework spots to like hit and mark and everything like that. Then on top of that, in the middle of this very first circle we drew, we cut that in right in half with just a horizontal line. And I add little extra lines above it and below it just to sort of give me more traction and more footholds to get the eyes correct. Because all of these lines only set up the eyes. And once you get the eyes correct, then you can get the eyebrows correct. Once you get the eyebrows and the eyes, you can get the bridge of the nose correct. Everything sort of like funnels in and waterfalls through, right? Then, this midline, it's always solid to have a midline in every drawing because it sort of sets up a symmetry for your piece, right? Especially with human faces, a lot of the times, even though there's subtle differences between both sides of the face, all in all, mostly, it's going to be the same. So having this midline for spacing, perspective, all of those things is usually a pretty sweet bet. And then from this middle line of this, I don't know what to call it, the junction of these two circles is just another guiding point for the nose. And then from here down to the chin, or wherever you decide to end the drawing, is usually about where the mouth is going to be. So none of these things tell me exactly where all of my points are going to end up, but they at least give me footholds and direction. Whereas a lot of times when you're starting with a blank page, you have nothing. So from here, I'm going to focus on all broad shapes. I'm only going to do big, giant shapes. So like the entire eye cavity I'll draw in, and I'll even just add a little bit of value, add a little bit of color into that. Just because while we're doing this and while we're doing all of these broad shapes, this is going to basically give us a rough estimate of the skull. And if we have a rough estimate of the skull, we can sort of see proportions way easier than if you were just drawing completely from scratch. So from here, these eye cavities are going to house the eye. So the eye isn't going to take up this whole circle. It's actually just going to end up being probably a little circle inside. And basically with this sort of blown out big cavities that I'm making, this also tells us where the eyebrows are going to be. So the eyebrows are basically going to connect because this is the entire eye socket that connects into the brow bone. You know what I mean? Like if I was to draw a 3D line down, it would pop up a little bit and then in, and there would be an eye, and then it would pop out again. Because we have a 3D space of this brow bone that juts out, and then we have a concave or an indent with the eye. Like if you think about it like sculpture, like you're playing with clay, what doing these big two circles for the eyes does is just me moving that clay out so I have space to create the eye later. So then from here, we are going to just draw an initial rectangle for the bridge of the nose. You see that? And then we can add in some shadow on both sides. And this is just going to keep giving us more and more information on where things need to lay dimensionally, proportionally, and perspective-wise. So on top of that, we know the end of the nose is going to be pretty circular. So we can throw in 3 sort of balls there. and just sort of round it out into sort of a diamond shape. And all of this is going to get fine-tuned and changed and probably shortened and moved around, but for right now, all we have to do is figure out proportions so that our details later on are going to be way more accurate. So, we have these big giant eye sockets, which kind of, when you're drawing like this, it's really easy to get confused by your drawing because I'm not actually drawing the eyes here, I'm drawing sort of the entire surrounding area of the eyes. And I'll even just make these bigger, just to give us even more of a weird idea, right? And now, from all of this, we have sort of the setup for the bone structure, for the eyebrows. We have sort of the setup for the cheekbones, where they're going to be. And we have sort of a setup for where the mouth is going to be. So if these are the eyes, and we're just sort of guessing that they're correct, and this is the nose, and we're just sort of guessing that's correct, we know that the mouth is probably going to be about here, right? Just because we have that upper lip to deal with, we have a bottom lip, and then we have the chin. So if that's about where our mouth is going to be, I'm just going to throw in a shaded rectangle, maybe curve the edges just a little bit, but we're just going to get some color in there. Nothing permanent. Just so then when we take a step back from this drawing, we can see if that mouth, if we imagine this being like fully detailed and drawn in, if that mouth feels correct or not. And obviously, like at this point in the drawing, it looks terrifying. Like, it looks like a very creepy doll. But that's, that's exactly what we want at this exact point, because we don't have any details to sort of base off any opinions. Joker vibes, I know. It's like, drawing like this is always just a little bit freaky. But because of that sort of freak factor, I don't have to deal with any like hard lines, any details that I've really committed to. I can just sort of look at the things that I've drawn so far and think about them as, is that helping this drawing, or is it actually just like making it really hard to see, or is it flipping the perspective too much? And because of that, we can now come in and fix this chin and bring it up a little bit closer to the mouth instead of where it was previously pretty long and pretty weird, right? So, again, we're just slowly but surely etching in all of these big broad shapes, and I'm even going to go so far as to draw this sort of big brow bone, this big overarching sort of it's almost like a shelf on the eye or on the face, and it really just like sets the tone for where a ton of the light is going to be, where a ton of the eyebrow, or only the eyebrow, is going to fill in. But it gives us a chance to differentiate between like the side of the head. This big plane of the forehead is going to be a lot lighter than everything else, so you can just sort of start coloring in and like muddying up this drawing as much as possible, because as we're moving and as we're taking steps back, we can see what's wrong and what's right. So I have these big eye sockets, and then from there I feel like the nose might have to come up a little bit. And if the nose comes up a little bit, I bet this mouth would come up a little bit, right? So maybe we move, I'm not going to erase anything, I'm just going to move some of these nose details up a little bit. And what that's going to do is give me a chance to round out some of these details and think about them just a little bit more before I really start finalizing or doing anything important, right? And I'm even going to lay down just a ton of value, a ton of, you can call it shadow, you can call it color, whatever you want to, but I'm just going to lay down a bunch so then we have sort of a background to either create really dark spots or, if we want to, create really light spots by erasing certain parts. And you're going to start thinking and start seeing that this drawing, it doesn't actually look like anything. It doesn't look good. He says he's drawn Timothée Chalamet, but at the end of this video it's going to be Nason. Imagine just the total bait and switch. This is all just one big ploy to draw myself. But this is hardcore trust the process vibe right here. Because this is where, like, you can see all of these details that I'm laying in, and you can look me right in my face and say, this is not a good drawing. And, like, I would agree with you. It does not look the way we imagine it to look. But all of this structure is slowly telling me everything that I need to know, and it's teaching me a lot about drawing someone else's face. So, with this character, we can slowly start maybe drawing in a little bit of like final lines. Or not final, but a little bit more final than what we've been drawing. So I know that he has a big shadow on the side of his nose, and that goes into his eyebrow and into his eyebrow bone, right? So we at least have that going for us. We know his nostril flares out just a little bit this way, so we can start that line. We know his nostril shows about right here, so we have that line. And you remember, all of these rough cut lines that make this drawing look horrible are now giving me a bunch of structure to actually place in solid lines. Like, this nose from scratch would look a lot worse, but now that we have all the context and all of the things along it, it ends up being, at least like right now, a little bit better than usual. If that was the case, you must imagine yourself with more exaggerated chin. Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the sharpest chin I have seen in a long, long time. And now that we have this nose drawing, we sort of have a better idea of where his actual eyes are going to be. So we can throw in a little bit of the start of the eye. And again, none of this is permanent. We're definitely not going to keep all of these lines, or maybe even any of these lines. But part of drawing, especially part of drawing people's faces, is you have to just you have to throw down a couple lines and expect to erase them later. Like, you can't just, or at least I can't just sit down with like a pen and rip a drawing immediately and get all of the lines correct. So what we do instead is we focus on structure, and we focus on all of the pieces that make that part of drawing a little bit easier. So we even going to maybe make these eyes a little bit bigger. Again, still no permanent lines. I will not draw probably a single permanent line for a very long time, especially on this piece. We'll throw in just maybe an indication of the iris, and that's just for me, that's just so I know about where I'm thinking of putting this, these objects. And we can throw in maybe the start of an eyebrow. And that feels about right size-wise, but again, once we start really changing things, I'm sure all of this will change at least a little bit. But I need these first I need these first lines so then I actually have something to judge or something to change. You know what I mean? And you're gonna see a lot of that gray wash that I put in is a little bit distracting. It's a little bit strange to see on a drawing. It kind of feels like maybe it's supposed to be hair or it's supposed to be whatever, but it is just so my brain understands that it's okay to mark on these spots, right? And so from here, one fun thing that I've learned is that the nose and the lips are basically all just value. Like none of it is really lines anywhere. So a lot of times when you're drawing a nose or when you're trying to draw parts of the face and you get really hooked and really stuck and things feel very strange and frustrating and it's hard to get certain parts right, it's because you're going at it with sort of an in-between phase of illustration or realism. And that just means that you're setting yourself up for defeat at like every step of the way, right? So what we're doing with this is we're going like hyper realistic. Like we are drawing all of the shadows, we are drawing every little crease and all of that in hopes that we get a lot better at drawing faces, and hopefully, sorry, I have to focus up here for a little bit. We'll learn what makes a face and what doesn't, and then you can take all of this information and you can like basically narrow it down or like burn it all the way down to its core, and then you can start cartooning. Or at least that's my goal. I'm going to throw in just some indication of where I want these ears to lay. He is looking quite strange, but we're trusting the process. We're just going to continue to trust, and hopefully one day it starts to work out. And guess what? If it doesn't, we then get to look at the drawing that we just did and really think about where we messed up and how we can do better next time. That's another thing. Like, part of drawing isn't just getting successful every single time. Part of it's messing up really bad. It really already looks like I'm you think? I'm struggling to see him just a little bit, but I think we're slowly getting there. I'll probably rub his forehead out just a little bit. This is also a pretty good technique. You saw me earlier just do a gray wash with everything. And it started looking a little bit strange because I had so many lines there. And you can just use your finger to wipe away a lot of those just like extra nothing lines instead of using an eraser. Just for like a little bit of a quicker fix into getting some of that detail off. And now we just have like a very blurry version, but you don't have those hard detail lines trying to bog you down. Sarah, but I have never had anyone explain drawing a face so well. Oh, sick. Thank you. I didn't realize I'd been watching on the FYP. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you very much. We're chilling. I'm also over on YouTube and Twitch, but I'm just starting out on those. That's so useful. Oh, thank you, Magnus. But yeah, so like once you have that sort of gray wash and you get to this point where like you're starting to feel like you're messing up or you can't really see the face that you're drawing, just take your finger, get through some of those lines, and things start sort of appearing to you. And obviously, like sometimes you'll do this finger method and you'll realize, oh, this is actually like there was a big mistake here, and that's totally fine too. I'm gonna go in and just slowly etch out a little bit more of this outside edge of the face, because I feel like I might be drawing some of these proportions wrong because I have a little bit too much extra width on everything. So I'm just going to come around and just take off a little bit of all the sides. And that face looks a little bit more proportional. Another fun fact and tip, Magnus, I know you've heard me say this a million times, but the face, when you're looking directly on someone's face, the width should be 5 eyes. And what I mean by that is, once you draw these 2 eyes, and you feel very solid about their proportion, you feel very solid about their placement, they look normal, they look fine, they look right-sized, you can take whatever your pencil, whatever you're using, put the one tip to one end, and then find where the other end is, and that's so like, I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but this is the length of one eye from tip to my finger, right? Because I set that finger, or I set that pencil down and I'm marking how long it is, right? The head should be 5 eyes long. So I've got this one, I have one eye on this side, then I have the eye. There's one eye in between the 2 eyes, and we're checking to see if that lines up. Then there's the other eye, and then there's another full eye width from this eye to the side of the head. And with my measurement, we pretty much have that. I can show you, this eraser is about that size, so this is a better way to see it, just like on the camera, but you can see there's 5 widths of that sort of unit, which that always helps. Oh, sweet, thank you so much for the roses. That's so badass. I'm glad you're liking it. So, with that, I'm even going to just take in a little bit more, just because I can. Might even take off a little bit of the chin there too. It's looking a little too sharp, even for Timmy. And we can sort of resume now that we've had some of those proportion shifts, we've double checked on some of the widths, and now we can really just sort of focus on getting that head shape correct, getting the ear placements back. So I'll throw in a little indication for ears. Good rule of thumb, ears pretty much always land at the eye to the nose range. Obviously there's always going to be just a little bit of difference in every character that you draw or every person that you draw. Okay, never mind. But like the rule of thumb is, if you draw the eye from, or if you draw the ear from middle of eye down to nose, you'll pretty much have it. Continuing on. He is starting to come off of the page, which is sweet. We are going to come back to these eyes, and I'm already seeing that I think both these eyebrows are a little bit too close to these eyes. So, what we're going to do to solve that is we're just going to erase very lightly. Because remember, we haven't done any permanent lines yet, so it's completely fine to get in here and erase just a little bit. And then you can even just sort of use your finger and muddy some of those eraser marks off. And now that we have a clear canvas, we can even look at completely new eyebrows. So I know that I want this eye, like I'm pretty solid with that shape of the eye, but I want his eyelid to be shown. So I'm going to throw in an indication for his eyelid, which I think is going to be about there. And that lines up with our eye cavity that we drew at the very beginning. And then from there, the eyebrow is going to be a little bit above that. So we'll throw in maybe a line like that. And then we will finish off that eyebrow. He's got sort of bushy brows that angle down. Okay. And then this one, the same deal. So his nose comes into that eye cavity, and we can see his eyelid about that far away from his eye opening. And because of that, we have his eyebrow up here, just a little bit raised from this one because he is making sort of an inquisitive face. So we'll slowly etch that in. And then we'll take a step back just to make sure that we haven't messed this up, because we did just erase 2 eyebrows and now we laid in 2 new ones, and I don't want to do it again, right? So actually pretty sick. We're getting somewhere, slowly but surely. So now we can extend these eyes a little bit. We can just make them just a little bit wider. We can take this one, extend it out a little bit, and bring it slightly farther away from the nose. Just while we're here, we might as well make things a little bit more accurate. And again, I'm still not doing any sort of permanent lines, but I am doing a little bit darker every time because I'm getting more and more comfortable with all of the proportions that I'm laying in for this guy, right? So it's okay to slowly but surely get more and more value into this. And now, because we're at this sort of sweet phase, I'm going to throw in a little bit more shadow underneath the eyebrow. I'm going to throw in a little bit of shadow on the side of his head. Just because sometimes when you're drawing a face, and this is a fairly good tip, when you're drawing a face and you kind of get to a point where you feel like you don't know what to do next, or like what detail to add in next, just like jump off to something else. Like I'm coming over here and I'm going to add in just random shadows on this far side of the head. And then with this, like with these shadows, I'm slowly going to decide where other shadows need to be. And then those other shadows are going to lead me in the direction of which details I need to draw next and which ones can wait. You know what I mean? So we'll slowly etch in some of these nose shadows. We'll round things out over here. That comes underneath the nostril. It kind of hugs that little ridge on the lip. We even have a little bit of shadow above the lip, but not as intense as the nose. So we're just slowly adding in more and more value, more and more detail, if you will, just so we get a better idea and understanding of the shape of this guy's head. And like already, I added a few extra tones, and we're at a way better distinction spot. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to clean up these eyes. Big common mess up is everyone always makes the whites of people's eyes bright, bright white compared to the rest of their drawing. And it's never the case. People never have like radiant white eyes, right? So it's always smart whenever you are drawing eyes to add just a little bit of value to them. Not a ton, but just like enough to make it seem like they're not glowing. And now we're looking at his eyes, and the shape looks pretty solid. So I'm going to add in a little tear duct there. And you can see that I went from very broad strokes to now very small and sort of tactful strokes. And that's very much on purpose, because now I'm at the stage where I don't want to mess up. I don't want to do any sort of like whatever lines anymore. I want to start getting to the good stuff. I want to start adding some crazy detail and start making this drawing look accurate. So, as I'm doing that, something to remember is that eyelids are 3D. They stick out and away from our face and our eyes. And not a lot of people remember that when they're drawing. So there's always going to be a little bit of space from your eye to where your eyelashes start on both the top side and the bottom side. So throwing in that little extra line actually does so much for your drawing, because it makes it feel like there's some serious depth to it. Like there's a real, like, a shift in distance between everything. Just that one little trick kind of rips. So we're going to get a better indication of his irises, leaving just enough of that white space on both sides. His eyes almost cover the entire top and bottom, but you do see a little bit of that, the top curve of that circle and the bottom curve near the edge. And what I mean by that is some people's or some characters' eyes, you can see like the full circle, like you'll see the bottom before the eyelid, everything like that. Some characters you only see certain edges. So it's important, and like it's always smart to really think about, okay, how much of this iris am I allowing people to see, and how much should we cover with whatever said eyelid. It's just another thing that's usually ends up being pretty smart to think about. Okay, and now maybe we lay in that eyelid line. And of course we're gonna blend a bunch of this stuff out and together and whatever, so if things start looking a little bit cartoony, that's fine for now. Probably won't be fine for later, but just as we're working and as we're figuring out how we want this guy to look, it's okay to have a little bit of cartoony spots. He also has some crazy dark circles around his eyes. I've never really noticed that about him. He seems tired. He seems overworked. We will throw in just a first round of color on his iris. Nothing crazy. Just getting some indication there so we can come back and fine-tune later. And we can even do the same thing with the eyebrows. Because I'm pretty comfortable with their placement, I feel pretty comfortable coloring in and getting things slowly but surely settled with this drawing. Right? See, we're slowly getting to a place where, from the very beginning, this drawing looked like absolute garbage, but now, as you start to look at it, it has, you know, some serious depth. It has pretty correct proportions. I'm sure there's some stuff that we could fix and change, but, you know, as we're taking our time, we've been really slow with this. We're going on the 40-minute mark. But, like, it looks like a normal human face, which was the goal all along. A lot of times, I draw people and they don't look normal, and it really pisses me off. So it's fun to really take your time and get a drawing that feels and looks normal. We are just going to slowly add in the top of his head. He has a buzz cut, so we are going to draw that. thank goodness, buzz cuts are some of the easiest hairstyles to draw, just because it's the shape of the head, and then nothing else. So that's always awesome. So we are just going to lay in a bunch of color for the hair. Nothing too intense yet, because there's always a possibility that I finish the face and I realize that the hair is too far away, so I want to be able to erase it at any given point. So I'm just doing a very light wash of color for his buzz cut. And then we'll probably erase, you see those messy lines. We will probably erase some of these, just to make things feel a little bit more realistic. But like, we're getting somewhere, people. I'm glad you're back, Sarah Lynn. How we doing over there, Magnus? Are you drawing? I'm also sorry I'm not really interacting with you guys at all. I'm just like, I'm really trying to get through this drawing. We have now the opportunity to sort of start finalizing and like really thinking about the finer details of things. And then once we sort of float through a lot of these details and a lot of this like initial stuff, we can then go in and do like the really dark tones and the light highlights. Oh, thanks, Poochie. So it's like, it's good to get bored with a couple of these drawings sometimes, because the second you get bored, you sort of enter that flow state that's always way more fun to draw in. And then also, you get bored to the point of understanding like, well, I should probably tackle this thing now because I don't really have anything else to do. And that means that like you've completed one facet of the drawing that you're working on, right? Like, it sounds a little bit hippy-dippy, but if you're drawing and you start getting bored, I think that's a great indicator that you've, not finished the drawing, but you're getting close to finishing the drawing, because that one piece that you're getting bored on, there's nothing else to do. You're bored. You know what I mean? So we're just etching in a little bit of detail for these ears, just because I thought might as well, we're already here. This one's a little bit in shadow, so I'm just going to color it in the same color as this side of the head. I'm actually doing a small sketch of Timothy alongside you. Sick! Just a little one. That's what's up. Poochie, I'm glad you're loving this. It's fun to have you around. But we're getting to a point where I even kind of want to start erasing some of these initial perspective lines, because they're sort of muddying up everything else. Which is crazy to say, because when you get to the point where your like sketch lines are starting to ruin your real lines, like you are getting very, very close to a finished drawing, which you should pat yourselves on the back for. So I'm just going to reapply some pencil everywhere that I just erased, and then I'll just use my finger to blend some of that out. And of course, remember that we still have a whole phase of finishing and doing really dark tones and light tones. So, the eyes look pretty solid, nose looks fairly solid, eyebrows, ears, top of the head is okay. We'll probably fix that top of the head, but that's fine. His jawline is like no other. It really is. It's crazy. But the lips and the mouth have gotten kind of left by the wayside. So, let's go in and fix that a little bit. One fun tip for everyone drawing mouths: if you have your drawing and you like your eye placement, it feels normal, it feels correct, proportional, it feels in perspective, all of those good things, the middle of the eye, if you draw a line straight down on both sides, will give you the perfect proportion for how long the mouth should be. So you see that? I just drew a line straight down from both pupils, and now I have two ends of the mouth, and that's going to basically dictate exactly where I need to put the middle line, like where the lips separate, for this mouth. So we're just going to lay in a slightly darker line for where his lips split, right? And now, with that dark line, we can go in and add a bunch of value for his lips. A good friend of mine once told me, because I was telling them how I struggle with drawing lips all the time, and they're like, "Oh, it's because you're drawing them. You're not supposed to draw lips. You're supposed to shade lips." And that changed my outlook forever. Like, since then, lips have not been the worst thing on earth for me. And if that what I said doesn't make sense, is I used to like draw the outlines of lips. I used to really think about it and like draw the shape of them. But that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just color in the lips, because from skin color to lip color, it's just a darker tone of what the skin color of the character is. It's just like a redder or a pinker or like a darker shade of that skin. So it's just going to read as a darker shade of graphite when you're drawing with graphite. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that just absolutely nuts? I don't think you guys understand how cool that is. We are going to add in a little bit of a chin shadow. We'll add in a little bit of extra shadow down there too. But look at that, he looks like such a nice little boy. Does he have a name? Mrs. Hyven, I gotta tell you something. Once we start really doing the detail, you're gonna know exactly who this guy is. He's very famous. But I'm not doing him the best justice right now. So we've gotta wait till I get some of these details correct. Okay, I'm a little bit focused here, so 1 second, I'll start talking in a bit. We're just laying in a little bit of extra dark lines. Just 'cause we need to see if our proportions are correct. And you know, something about the top of that head is really messing with me. So let's just retry this. Let's just give this a whole new shot. And you see, like, because we've still kept all of these... Oh, limited! Oh, never mind. Because we've kept all of these lines so small, or like so light, sorry, it's very easy to change the entire shape of the head like that. I just had to erase once. I'm not sitting there like really grinding out the eraser, because we're keeping everything super light and simple. So, if his eye is about that width, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, from eyebrow Okay, so let's say his hairline is about there now. And then maybe the top of his head can change too. Sorry everyone, just hold your horses. This is one of the most important parts of drawing. It's seeing your mistake and fixing it instead of giving up. For a long time, I would make a mistake like this and I would crumple up the paper and throw it away. And then I would think, yep, that makes sense. And I would pretty much never go back and fix that drawing. So, huge news. I've started learning something. And I'm here to fix my drawing instead of give up on it. If you're still in the phase of giving up on a drawing, that's fine, but you're going to have to face the music pretty soon. And I'll let you know a little secret. The second you start fixing your mistakes in a drawing, the second you start getting good at drawing. So, food for thought. Might be nice to go and try to fix your mistakes. Maybe in real life too. Hey, there could be a lesson in all of that for us. Anyone in chat have tips that I haven't brought up yet that you really like? Okay. Slowly but surely, we are getting there. I'm even going to use my finger a little bit. I can't draw, so I'm just here for the calming vibes. Oh, that's great. I'm glad to have you. We are, I think, the chillest stream out there right now. I just looked into it. I had some boys check it out. And they agreed that we're the absolute chillest. Do you have old sketchbooks to do sketchbook tours? I do, Magnus. I have a ton. But a lot of them I'm like very not proud of, surprisingly. So, I think once we get through the boys check the vibes appropriately, thank you very much. I'll let them know. You give the stamp of approval. A lot of my old sketchbooks were like forced and like strange, and I left a lot of pages empty. So like maybe once we get to the point where like this one is finished, we could do a huge tour with this one, because this is where a ton of my learning came from. There's a really good tip for actually drawing lips that I know the idea of, but I can't explain in words, so I'll get back to you. That's great. I'm excited to hear it. I love any sort of tip we can think of or collectively get is a huge win for me. Okay, you know what? Let's add in an iris and remember that we have a little gleam in his eyes. So we'll add that in. He has another little gleam in his eyes there. Same thing, just a circle for the pupil. Slowly but surely adding in some real detail to this. Nothing crazy. LMAO, same. I have a ton of sketchbooks, but they all suck. Dude, that's the thing. But also, like, that's great. If you can look back at your sketchbooks and know that, you've come a lot farther, or that it's not, like, the best work that you could create, it's, like, at least sort of a good sign of you're either developing taste or you're developing more and more skill every day. That's then letting you say, you know what, this isn't very good anymore. At the time I probably thought this was great, but now that I've learned X, Y, and Z, I don't like this drawing. And then it's like a whole different kind of fun because then you can look at it and say, oh my god, look at how far I've come. Which is like, that is such a gratifying moment. And now we're sort of entering the flow state of this drawing. I'm just going to lightly brush up some of this color I just added. We'll add in a little bit extra sideburn there. Now we're getting to the part where we can just start adding very deep tones and highlights on top of them. So we're getting basically to the chill zone. We're gonna come in, and you know what? Oh, I wish I had. I have this. I have a pointed eraser somewhere. Shoot, I put it away. Basically, it's like an eraser, but the size of a pen tip, so you can do really detailed erasing. But I lost it, so we're just going to use this guy and adapt. So we'll just keep that big gleam on his eye for now. That looks at least a little bit realistic. That's fine. And then we can sort of start adding in some details on this eye. That's perfectly fine. We don't need to go overboard on this part. We just have to just show that there's, you know, there's some depth in that eye, there's some color, there's some whatever. Just kind of keeping it light, keeping it scribbly, keeping it interesting. Let's see. Right? Just breathing a little bit of life into those eyes. Nothing crazy. And now we can basically, at this stage, all we really have to do is go back and make sure all of the darkest spots we want are dark, all of the light spots we want are light, but we're essentially just in like the fun detail phase of this drawing, which is arguably the best phase of every drawing. So I'm just going to darken up these eyebrows, make them a little bit bushy. We are going to pretend we know what we're doing. Which is always sweet. Always pretend you know what you're doing. People love seeing people pretend that they know what they're doing. It's very calming for people. Just pretend. So we'll throw that in. We are going to darken up the tops of his eyelids because he has short eyelashes, which is very strange. We'll give a little bit extra depth to the bottom of the eye. Again, we'll darken up this top edge. We'll give him a little bit extra depth. Look at that boyish charm that's coming out of this guy. That's been me for every sketchbook. I don't like looking at them. Yeah. Feels like bad karma for some weird reason. Oh, interesting. You're gonna go back to that skill level. You don't know how to explain it. That's very interesting. I've never had that feeling, but I can pretty much understand it. Like you'll see an old drawing and then you'll accidentally just start recreating it again instead of doing all of the things that you just spent months learning. Yeah, that's trippy. We'll add in some darker shadows here. We'll have those go up into his eyebrow. We'll have some darker shadows come out right in between his eye and nose. And all of this sort of just takes a ton of practice, basically. Like, I wish there was a better way to explain a lot of this stuff, but you just have to draw a bunch of faces, and you start understanding where, you know, certain shadows lie and certain pain points always hit. But also having, if you're ever like really practicing something, having a reference image next to you is always a very safe bet. Like, just gives you at least the information of where certain shadows should go, instead of, you know, constantly playing a guessing game of, you know, is this shadow supposed to be here or not? We're getting there. We're slowly getting there, everybody. You explained it perfecly and you didn't even experience it. Also, the tip for lips is basically you draw the lips in 5 elongated spheres. 3 on top, 2 on bottom. And then you stack them on top of each other in space. And using your understanding of shapes and volumes... Oh, yes. 3 on top, 2 on the bottom. I think I know exactly what you mean, actually. It's like, because you're drawing the polyp. You're basically drawing like this, and then it gives you... Actually, I can't remember exactly. Maybe it's like 1... I think I've seen a tip like that before. I think I could get there if I tried to draw enough lips, but let's finish Timmy, and then we can figure it out. Oh, thanks for liking the live. We're gonna draw in a little bit of forehead creases. He is starting to look like himself a little bit, which is crazy cool. I'm glad that we're getting to a point where he actually looks like himself, because I was getting a little worried that I was going to have to finish this drawing with just a complete failure. Which, you know, would have been fine. We would have figured it out and learned from our mistakes, but having a drawing go well is always better than the constant learning. Sick. We're getting there. So that's where you probably remember. It came from an artist's YouTube videos. Oh, sure. Part of the Loomis method, maybe? Okay. Now, Magnus, I'll ask you, where do you think I'm missing some details? Or where do you think we could start adding in or finalizing or getting some things a little bit better in this drawing? It's your time to shine. I am going to go and grab a softer pencil so we can get deeper colors. Let's go with a 5B. So now, with this, we can go in and with the same amount of pressure we were just using, get darker lines. So we'll just go in and throw in a bunch of color for his hair. keeping all the strokes pretty uniform and pretty close together. And then we can blend this with our finger too, but you know, it's always smart to keep all of your pencil strokes pretty even when you're coloring stuff in, so then you don't get that weird look. Okay. Solid amount of, can you show me the reference image? This is the reference we're going off of, Magnus. So we're, oh god, I think we messed up the chin. Oh yeah, everything's a little bit too long. Oh man, I should have done that an hour ago. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fix it. Very smooth style. I don't think people understand how crazy this fix is about to be. Okay. So everything is a little bit too long. But nothing's permanent yet. So all we have to do is give us a little bit of space, a little bit of erasing. Nothing too crazy. We can keep a lot of the structure that we have. I might even rotate this eye a little bit, which is fine. These ears are going to end up coming up too. We can take off a little bit of this hair, if possible. Basically, for anyone tuning in or for anyone confused, I put the reference image right next to the piece, and I realized that I made it too long. Yeah, the mouth is a bit long to the left. Yeah, the whole thing is a bit long, Magnus. So now what we're doing is I'm erasing all of the parts that made us too long, and I'm just shrinking it up. So I'm bringing the nose up onto itself, I'm bringing the mouth with it, I'm bringing the chin with it. And we should slowly get to a more correct example image of this drawing. So, back to the drawing board. We are about there with the jawline. So we'll go into his chin, which is going to be about right here. And then that will go up into his jawline again. And the fun part is, if I can somehow pull off this fix, we can pretty much do anything, Magnus. Because this is a crazy fix. Okay, that is looking close to what we want. Okay, slowly but surely. He's going to have a little bit of Roblox quality for a second. That's fine. Because we're basically doing surgery on this guy now. Okay. I'm going to be probably pretty quiet for the rest of the time. Because we're doing some... This is like probably the biggest fix I've done on a face in a long time. Okay, so that means that the mouth is probably going to be about here. And remember that tip I was talking about from pupil down is the length of the mouth. So we're just going to throw in that middle line. We'll give him a little bit of shadow there. And then we can start coloring in again. And you know, it's still pretty solid that we did all of that work earlier. Even though we erased a lot of it, we still like sort of muscle memoried in a ton of the stuff. So essentially, it all becomes just a little bit easier, even though we had what I would what I would constitute as a giant mess up. We should be able to fix this and get back on top, which is sick. Beautiful. Okay. We are a little bit back on track. Okay, so now we will draw that shadow again for his chin. We can erase this one. Oh yeah, this is looking way better. I think you're giving Roblox a bit too much credit. Yeah, I bet. Okay, and now we can just rebuild this nose, which is kind of like what I feel like I'm doing what a lot of plastic surgeons do right now. Just like a very slow rebuild. I blew the nose up, and now I'm just going to attempt to fix it. Just really still focusing on very simple shapes. Nothing too important or too technical. We are just grinding, trying to get back to where we were. That's looking a lot better. And we can even go so far as to throw the shadow down on the lip. And then just a little bit of 5 o'clock shadow on that other lip. Just sort of muddy everything up. Oh, what's up, Crow? Crow, you did actually miss everything. I had the biggest mess up of all time, and I just like rebuilt this entire face. But we're slowly getting back to where we were. And honestly, it looks a little bit better. Or a lot of bit better. Okay. There's that. He's got sort of a chopped hairline. There's that. I'll probably take in some of that, some of the side of his head there. Smooth out that chin. Oh. Smooth out that chin. Right? Slowly but surely. I'm in such a high focus mode right now. Okay, what are we saying here? What did I miss? A big drawing mishap. Self-portrait? No, it is not. Maybe one day I'll do a self-portrait, but this is going to end up, if we can sync this, it's going to end up being Timothée Chalamet. But there's a very good chance that we get to a spot where I just give up on this guy. But we're close. Who dat? No giving up? You're right. We are not giving up on this. We're slow, or we're so close. Okay. What are we missing here? We'll throw in some ears. Keeping them very rough shape again, because if we mess up again, I don't know if I'm going to be able to recover like I just did. That was like near legendary recovery. I had no right fixing those mistakes, to be completely honest. Honestly, like, there's probably still, we're still not getting to the spot that I need us to be. Or else we have bigger problems. What do joke mean? We're so close. Are you blue? What's a Willy Wonka? Whoa! You don't even know Willy Wonka, Crow? The fix is coming out great. The smile is giving, the cheekiness to the photo is giving. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Ivan. He definitely was a lot longer that first time around. We are very, very close. I think maybe if we give some of these darker values, we get them going and cooking, some of our fixes will just show themselves to us without us having to find them, which would be great. Also, sometimes, hey, fun little drawing fact for everyone. If you ever find your drawing feeling like it's riddled with mistakes, just keep drawing a ton of detail. Just constantly get more and more stuff in there, because Um, a lot of times, a drawing only looks like it has a ton of mistakes because you don't have a lot of stuff to look at. You can really only zero in on those mistakes. So, if you can, separate yourself from what feels like a huge defeat and really just get back into the drawing and get a ton of details and like really finish and trust the process and all those things, a lot of the mistakes that you are tweaking out about just end up fixing themselves because they get hidden by all of the other stuff that you're doing. A little fun tip for you. Drawing is all like, honestly, it's a lot like magic. Like it's kind of sleight of hand. Like you're hiding mistakes that you made. You're pretending they're not there. You're adding a ton of detail to like make a flat piece of paper look like 3D, right? Like there's just a ton of overlap between tricking someone and drawing something. You dig? Okay. Slowly but surely. Look at that! We actually fixed it. That's crazy. Oh man. That feels very good. Bingo. You'd smash this drawing. That's great. Thank you very much, boys. Look at that! We got him! Poochie, you're still here? Amazing. Crow, how was your Black African American Israel dissecting day? I love the lore you guys have. Look at that! We fixed him! Oh, thank God. I was very worried about this drawing. I'm gonna add just a little bit of muck around here. Okay. And now the real trick, the real fun part about this is outlining him, which might ruin things, but I think we'll be fine. I think we're all big boys here. So we're going to take our time with this outline with a much darker, softer pencil. And what this is going to do is make us look like much better artists than we are. 'Cause that's the whole goal, baby. Make sure we get his big chin right. Okay. We'll get this other ear. Look at that outline. It's so clean. He looks just like the photo now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love it. Thank you very much, Poochie. Now add color. Loser! Crow. You better cool your jets. So insensitive. Whoa, you got a really high score. 6, 7. Oh, dude, just recently someone said that it was 67 degrees out, and I thought they were making a 6-7 joke, so I hit him with it. Did not play. They did not like it. JoJo reference. You watch JoJo? That's sick. Well, dude, we're getting very close. I think we can throw in... I'm going to throw in a couple more extra outlines just to give this a little bit more depth. 'Cause why not? Makes my skill look a lot better if I add in more depth. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to slowly add in some darker lines where we need them to look darker. And people are going to think that we are much better at drawing than we are. That's the trick. That's the magic I was talking about earlier. It's all sort of just smoke and mirrors. Oh yeah. There we go. We're getting somewhere now. Okay, what else do we need? We can throw in his pupils. That's sick. Dude, we're cooking on this one. I'm actually so proud of this drawing. We're getting there. Okay, and now let's just throw in And there it is. Oh, I missed you guys'. So much has gone on. Oh, good, Nathan. Good, of course. Big JoJo fan. What animes have I been watching recently? Let's do, let's throw up this drawing while I just sit and chit chat. Because this one bangs. I guess you guys can't see that super well. What have I been watching? None. Which sucks. I probably should get back on, but I just have so much other stuff going on, man. Different JoJo are you talking about? Poochie, you've assimilated very well. Jojo Siwa with a jetpack and a Cuban cigar flying over the Great Wall of China. Dude, imagine. Imagine if that's the next stream I did. That's incredible. Crows can remember faces? They can. And they can learn words. They can dunk food into ketchup and eat it. Dandadan, I did watch most of Dandadan. And it is epic. Did you watch the Demon Slayer movie? Oh no, not the most recent one. I was actually just thinking of pirating it and watching it. Or if it's already on Crunchyroll, I'll check it out. But a ton of my friends said that was a must watch, so it's on the list. Actually, it'd be really fun to draw a bunch of those characters. Anime is such a fun art style to draw. I'm gonna darken up this hair while we've got some time. I seriously can't believe that we got this drawing back on track after after that super. It was like a jump scare, pulling the reference over top of it and then and then moving it away was like, oh no. Oh no, I really messed up. Because in the moment I was doing so much talking and like teaching and whatever that it's like I was really focused on a lot of the fundamental stuff and a lot of the like routes to success that I wasn't even really looking at the drawing. Which like there's your first mistake. You kind of have to look at the thing that you're drawing to draw it well. But um God, I can't believe that was like my heart sank. I really thought, you know what, maybe we just end the stream and we never talk about this again. Which would have been great. No one would have remembered. Not even you, Crow. Beautiful. Look at that handsome mug. Okay. It has been, an hour and 33 minutes. I deadass thought of the audio when you made the dissatisfied sound. It's so good. I have watched Black Clover. A lot of people hate Black Clover, but I was thinking, fine. It was great. It was fun. Um, you have a severe concussion, kind of bleeding, so bye, peeps. Damn, I'm sorry, Crow. Well, I hope you feel better. Have a good night. I'm also leaving. Black Clover, best anime and manga of all time. You don't care? Whoa. Best of all time is a big jump. Um, I would give it. I would start talking about it as like top 20. I would let it sit in that realm, and I would argue for. I would argue for a bunch of different positions. But with that, we drew Timmy. We drew the Schwepp God. clears Naruto, clears Dragon Balls, clears Bleach. All three of those takes are dog water. It does not clear those shows. Have a blessed night, bro. Can't wait to see more. Thanks for hanging, Poochie. Really great to have you in. I'll be on more often. Okay, I can't keep debating anime. I have to leave. See you, Magnus. Obviously, the rage bait against Black Clover affects me. A new trick for my sleeve. Alright, I'm out of here.